I stared at the blank page, the cursor blinking like it was mocking me. I wondered, what happened to the writer that couldn't stop dreaming? The writer who always had stories following her, kissing the tips of her fingers, just waiting for her to tap away at her keyboard. That's when I realized the reason for my rut. Sometimes it's not about writing more or always trying to be consistent, but asking the right questions as to what led you into this rut and how to escape it. Let me share 5 questions that brought me back to life as a writer. Greetings, my name is Chiameka and welcome back to my channel. Now I feel like I can finally start to speak about this because I can articulate it in my brain, via my tongue, and now via my fingers on my laptop. But I've been in a rut. Just yesterday, January the 20th, I finally broke free from it, and it is one of the best feelings. So the idea for this video came today to now do a video on helping other writers overcome a rut that they may have been in for a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, and now they're just like, yo, we need to defeat this right now and get this over with because it's 2025 and we've got much to accomplish. So I came up with 5 questions to help you all challenge whatever is stopping you from writing the way that you know you can, and to just complete your novel for this year, get published as well. So let's start off with question number 1. Are you emotionally blocked? If you're like doing shadow work or you're recreating yourself and you haven't been like journaling, or if you're introverted like me, sometimes you just get so bogged down in your brain that you overthink a lot of things, and the negative aspects of yourself, it kind of just feels like it's weighing you down. So when I say emotionally blocked, are you not facing the you in the mirror? Are you allowing yourself to be so consumed with all the negative thoughts that may circle around and around in your brain and not have like a way out? You probably need to just acknowledge certain things within yourself. For example, not being able to communicate. You could just note down that one word, add another one next to it, add another one, and try to emote. Just pour your heart into it with no judgment. After all, it's only you seeing it. Because for me, it did, especially when I felt like I couldn't articulate it via my tongue. So a lot of the times, if you're just so consumed with emotions and thoughts, and it's like there's too much just weighing down on you, it's one of the best avenues to just note it down. Even if it just forms one sentence, that's enough to now look over and continue to just allow to probe at you. You can leave it and it come back, and then sooner than later you may start to feel your creativity just returning to you. Question number 2, decision paralysis. Do you feel like life is consuming every fiber of your being and to write feels like another unnecessary chore? Note down everything that comes to mind, then begin to prioritize the most pressing ones. Acknowledge what you can control and what you can't. This used to be a big thing for me because I have a desire to sometimes just do everything all at once. Having that nature and then just allowing that energy to flow through you. You may completely disregard planning and just jotting things down on paper to help you now visualize everything that's already just in your mind, but you needed to now take it apart like puzzle pieces and then just rearrange it in front of you for you to see what is more pressing that you need to prioritize, or things that you've been heavily placing a lot of focus and energy and time into, not realizing that these are things that you can't control. So it's best to work around them by applying yourself to the things that you can control. And sooner than later, you'll just find yourself being more relieved because now you can see potential steps that can be taken to help you progress forward than to be stagnant, maybe allowing self-doubt and a lack of confidence and other things to just deter you from doing things that you'd naturally find to be very enjoyable. Even for me, I get a lot of ideas, but I'm unable to execute them as quickly as I received ideas. So a lot of the times just having all these ideas, just gathering in my notepad especially. I'm just like, but I want to do this one because it's new. I want to do this one because I'm also familiar with it and I've already written something that I can now reread, and I just like how that flows. But these times I've got an old project that is just begging for me to just complete it, so then I can have that out of the way. What I used to do is get decision paralysis, because now I'm just like, I want to be everywhere doing everything all at once, but unfortunately I'm just one human vessel. So I have to learn to prioritize, structure myself as well, do the hard thing first, be consistent in that, because usually we'll just gravitate to the thing that is most easiest. Doesn't feel like it requires that much of a pull from our mind, because we're probably lacking certain research or skills that would make the writing process a lot more easier. So what I've started telling my brain is to persevere through the things that I don't like, to then get me closer to my goal, which is just complete a novel, publish a lot more novels in a shorter space of time than to just like procrastinate and things. Slot yourself into a routine, because I'm telling you, without a routine, we're just being pulled left, right, center, up, down, all over the place to just do things that we feel to do in the moment. But then there are other things that we have to do out of necessity to continue like our day to day. Question number 3. Has passion's disappearance caused you to feel less drive towards your goals, less of a yearning to be the creator of your reality, allowing your creativity to lead you out of whatever problems are eating away at you? I used to rely so heavily on passion, thinking she would always be there, until she wasn't. And it was like I had to find within myself why I wrote, why I desired to write novels that were centered more on African futurism, that had black characters, that touched upon stories where we reimagined ourselves as beings who were powerful, who went on self-discovery journeys, who just traveled the universe from planet to planet, encountering different types of people on different types of journeys, and how we would interact with Earth and different purposes that we'd have. And then through finding my why, that's when I came to realize that it didn't matter if I was passionate about it. What really mattered was whether I had a burning desire to develop these stories from my mind and project them into this physical reality, to have myself be drawn to other creatives, other writers, and for them to be drawn to me because we held similar objectives, and to just create that continuation of finding others, being found, but also having us all unlock to our inner power through stories. And that's what continually becomes my spark. Question number 4. Too much social media stimulation, doom scrolling. Do you need to take a break from social media, the world, and hone in on what you want out of life, aka go ghost? I believe Dan Coe was the one who touched upon the cycle of things being, we read to understand other people's perspective, but we write to understand our own thoughts and feelings and how we comprehend and perceive this world that we are a part of. So now, if you're taking the information constantly on social media and you're not giving yourself a break to just sit down in silence and do nothing, or go for a walk without listening to music, imagine that constant stimulation. Don't you then begin to wonder why now you find it difficult to find your individual channel, tune into that and write? Whether you're an introvert or not, you still need to zero in on your mind and just find that center. How do you find that when you don't take a break from social media? You don't allow your brain the space to be bored. It's through boredom that's when we find creativity just gets up like a tsunami and surprises you with sparks. So those were my 5 questions. I'm now going to read you The piece of writing I wrote yesterday, which helps me just snap out of my rut and say, yeah, I'm back now. Play with me. And it's crazy because whenever I snap back, I'm like, yo, I was meant for this, man. I am a writer. Whether I take these long ass breaks or I get dejected, I'm just like, should I even bother downloading what I've seen in my brain into a physical body of work? But I always come back to the realization that I can write, man. What a time to be aware and alive. She didn't need to read the phrase in bold across the front page of the daily newspaper, nor hear Nick Ferrari exclaim such over the radio. Such was just evident. A buzz in the air, the frequent scene of 444, 555, 777, 222, and as of recently, 111. The support of her angels were one thing, but after quitting her job and taking a step back away from the world, a veil stripped from her vision of this physical world upheld by many shams, truths, and twisted lies. One moment her mind fought with a watery blur. The next, she was above water, breathing in new air, having her vision cleansed like the tears that come after cutting onions. There were no tears, however, just a realization of new territory. It had the illusion of making her think she started back from ground zero. Only the emptiness wasn't there. What lied was something in reach, but out of reach simultaneously. Her previous desire had been met to quit her job. Her new desires were yet to be etched into her heart. She thought she knew what she always wanted. After all, writing was the one thing she carried with her from childhood to adulthood. The only difference was, she used to slip out of this world for escapism purposes to write. Then, when her first character arrived, pushing her to the lengths of self-publishing her first novel, she switched sides to career. It filled her for some time, inviting many challenges she wasn't half as present in this world to realize. The transition from hobby to career. She will save the boring details concerning her flaws and mistakes for later. What became most important was her stance in this world, who she needed to be, the glasses she needed to wear, the power she had to stop denying within because fear had a hold of her from childhood. Yet, a single leap of faith to desire more for life, her family, her future, brought her here thinking she planned enough for this pit stop at a crossroads. If you don't plan, you plan to fail, is the infamous phrase. But what happens when all you do is plan? The obvious, no progress, no travel in any direction, decision paralysis, falling into the sickly, obsessive depths of perfection where you fail before you've even started, and the loud invasion of self-doubt, temptation, and untapped potential. In a space where nothing is concrete, she didn't fully grasp the point at which she'd arrived. With a simple zoom out of the mind she frequently isolated in, she'd recognize the light in the dark times that shrouded her generation and the ones emerging after. Despite what is shared throughout various platforms, the world outside is filled with hope, with opportunity, with a marking of a monumental time to be alive. Just like any other consumer, her worldview was bogged down with negativity, that the financial crisis and the cost of living crisis presented only doom and gloom. There's not enough jobs out there. AI is taking our jobs. I'm broke. Imagine, if that's all you hear, see, and absorb, how can you climb higher? She knew she was meant for more. Ever since her awareness kissed her, she just needed courage, strong will, and a burning desire to not fear the world but recognize the beauty of the time she was birthed into, the innovative time of her century. The uprising empowers from individuals born with beautiful and necessary gifts to reshape this world and raise its vibration. During this time of hibernation, she reflected upon herself, her bad habits, the chakras she needed to open, most importantly, the necessity to recreate herself to embrace and progress our unthinkable and impossible ways throughout 2025 onwards. For her old version, she couldn't turn back and claim Its purpose had been served for the life she once lived. In the dawn of a new awakening, the Mother Earth cleansing as she entered a 9 personal year, out with the old, in with the new. Not to mention, another trigger for her being her transition from a 9 personal year to a 1 personal year, the start of a new cycle, a conscious phase now that her frontal lobe was completely developed, starting over again at 25, months away from her 26. What a time to be alive, aware, and claiming your power. Just the other day, 2 weeks into January 2025, she faced a statement, not everyone can go where you're going, within herself. Though she's been brought up in a close-knit family, and she often has urges to have people go places with her, over the years, she's become more and more a loner, a lone wolf. Not utilized in a negative sense, just her frequency is set up different. On top of that, as soft as her heart can be, how gullible she can be too, she had to learn how to be the good girl than the nice girl. It still comes with its challenges, but brick by brick, just as Franklin Saint brought up his business, she learned to have boundaries, to stop latching onto people who do the bare minimum for her. In her era of being independent, going after what she desires, deserves, no matter who is by her side, she is content in her energy and comforted by the fact she is actively learning and growing in ways she could have stopped if she continued to listen outside of herself as well as fear change. She'd scream it from a rooftop if she had the confidence to from her throat chakra, but there's something still to work on, incrementally, step by step. She's allowing change to weave its silky threads through her, and though her chest feels heavy sometimes, her mind enters extreme blankness. All it takes is a focus on her breath to take a pause from the physical and de-stress. So in closing, you can overcome your rut too, one word at a time.